I've created two identical players and trapped them in the Premier League at Burnley and Sheffield United. But I have just been announced as the new manager of Sheffield United, while my dad has become the new manager at Burnley. So who can utilise their identical player, who has a maximum potential by the way, to their advantage the most, develop the player and help drag their team up the league table? Well, as always, we have a point system to determine things between the two teams, including points for beating each other, knocking each other out of the cups, and winning trophies. However, we also have point system for utilising the player the most, with who scores or assists more in all competitions against each other, top scorer or assister in the league, 5 big points for player of the season, and if the insane thing happens and one of them lifts the Ballon d'Or, 10 points. But things are kicking off already as soon as we've begun, as we've been drawn against each other in the League Cup. And in fact, we're playing each other back to back in September. So Dad, we have two identical perfect shadow strikers in here.
Looks good.
Does, doesn't it?
Yeah. I've never tried anything like this, so this is all new to me. I'm looking forward to this.
Exactly. Puts a little bit of a spin on a normal series. We thought we'd want to do two of the lower clubs in the Premier League as a little mini-series. We've got something big planned coming up. So for now, this is what we're going to rock with. We've got Mr. Perfect Sheffield and Mr. Perfect Burnley. They're two identical players with a maximum potential. And we've already had quite an interesting start to the season, because we're going to be playing each other back to back at the start of September. So I've already told you the point system. It's going to be quite complicated at the end to work out, but I'm sure we'll be absolutely fine. And then obviously it can establish a final winner. Let's have a look, because no transfers were made for either team.
No money.
I had one fall through. I was trying to get Andre Lunin. It got cancelled because it didn't get done in time, even though I put the bid through like 4 days previously.
You really needed it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, my goalkeeper's fractured his wrist, so that's a great start for me. Fantastic. Buzzing with that. And Dad, you had no money either. So yeah, you didn't even try to go for anybody really. But we sorted out our staff members. We've sacked off a couple of the terrible assistant managers, and the director of football was awful as well. So we brought in some new staff members. We've done all of that behind the scenes. Let's have a look at tactics. So obviously we've both got a shadow striker, and they can't play any other role. You can decide to train them if you want, but it would be a bit silly to at the start, I think. So we've both got a shadow striker in there. You've got a 4-2-3-1 formation, slightly offset. Your best 11
mine was
this.
Sort of governed around. I had some good wingers, didn't I?
Yes.
And more than one as well. I had 3, I think it was 3 in total. So I had to go for the winger, because I didn't have wingers in my first sort of tactic, did I? Until I started looking at the players. So yeah, that's the tactic I'm going for. Obviously the perfect Burnley's right in the middle as my shadow striker. Got a little gap for him to slide through, hopefully get a few goals that way. Yeah,
absolutely. Because your other winger that you were mentioning is obviously the youngster Luca Koleosho. 18 years of age, plays naturally across both wings, and he's also your highest valued player, which was, I think, your deciding factor.
They just brought in as well, didn't they? So, but he doesn't get into the starting 11.
No, at the minute, no.
But then it's still good cover for both wings, because as you can see from that, he can play on both wings.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's your team looking like in a starting 11. Let's have a look at the Sheffield United side. I have gone for a 4-2-2, but a narrow formation. Ideally, my shadow striker, my perfect Sheffield, will go in there, which he absolutely does. And my idea is he will eventually kind of be like a late bloomer into creating a front three, with Ollie McBurney being that kind of target forward to knock down for Cameron Archer, who has got a bit of pace about him and likes to beat the offside trap. Quite a good youngster as well. Again, he's only 21. And Mr. Perfect Sheffield coming on the other side. Because if I went with wingers, which originally I was going to, I was the opposite with Dad. I went to start with wingers and I didn't have any, whereas Dad went to start narrow and he had loads of wingers. So I got James McAtee, who plays more central as well. He's kind of a very good player as well to have in that team. So I needed to centre attacking midfielder. So this is what my lineup looks like there. But as you can see, I've already got a goalkeeper injury straight away, which is not fantastic, especially when Adam Davies is my backup, who is not amazing either. Let's have a look at the schedule then. We've played a few games already, and I gotta say, we're doing all right.
Yeah.
We are actually doing all right.
I think our fans would be quite happy with our start that we've had.
Absolutely. I mean, I've lost one game against Manchester United, the greatest team on the planet, but that's absolutely fine. Wolves, I battered them 6-4.
That was a hell of a result.
So yeah, I mean, annoyingly, Mr. Perfect Sheffield only got one goal, and it was the 99th minute of the game. But that was fantastic. We've also got a 2-1 win against Everton at the start of the season. Again, really good, and a 6-0 win against Mansfield. And I noticed we both played our Mr. Perfect in that, because total goals across the whole season is what's going to give us
count.
more points. So we need to play them against the likes of Mansfield.
Yeah.
And I think you had somebody in the lower leagues as well.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
That's
Tranmere
quite
I had.
Yeah, you had Tranmere, that's right. But that's quite funny because that was the second round. And in the third round, we've got each other back to back at each other's grounds as well, which is nice in a way. So I've had a bit of a good start, I think. Obviously, the loss to Manchester United can't be helped too much, but that's when Wes Fotheringham got an injury at the start of the game. So I'm actually quite pleased with
I'd be happy with that start, yeah, definitely, yeah.
I've got a tricky little middle patch here, though.
Well,
That's going to be
we're going to come up against the big teams, and we're going to get probably a few hammerings as well. So from mid-table downwards, you've got to win those games, haven't you? Yeah. Which is what our team in real life are struggling to do at the moment.
That's right, yeah. They're not being able to do that. They can't even beat each other sometimes. So it's all about survival in this first season, but it's 100%. What we can do with Sheffield United and Burnley across 5 years. That's all we're doing. Yeah. Obviously, it's down to the points, but across 5 years, how far can we take these clubs with this perfect player? Okay, Burnley. We know what your lineup looks like. Your schedule looks like this. You've done very well, even better than what I did, Dad. You beat Luton Town 3-1. As we mentioned, you got to beat those teams down there. Yeah. A draw against Nottingham Forest isn't too bad.
No, I was happy with that. Being
taking
my
a point away
game,
from home. Yeah,
that was my first away game, so I was
this
happy
one
with
was
that.
huge.
Oh, I couldn't believe that. I was really pleased with that one.
Yeah, very good indeed. Mr. Perfect Burnley's already got one goal there, so that's nice. But in the Tranmere game, he didn't get any. No, a 5-0 win.
Disappointed with that.
So far, you have Mr. Perfect Burnley on 1 goal and 1 assist. Remember, you also get points for assist too. My Mr. Perfect has 2 goals and 3 assists. He's come off. Yeah, he's come out swinging as Mr. Perfect Sheffield. I just imagine these are like bodybuilding Adonises every time I say their name. Same body as me, if that's what I'm picturing in my head. Great start of the season. So far in the Premier League, we're neck and neck, 5th and 6th, right next to each other. We've got to play each other in the Cup, which is, of course, going to chuck up a few more points. If you eliminate each other from Cup competitions, you get more points as well. So this one is going to be a fun one. Let's see what happens in this first season. The great start to the season didn't last long for Dad, as when he visited Bramall Lane for the league match, my Sheffield United team sent Dad packing with a huge defeat as we stuffed them 5-0 right before the cup game, which Dad wasn't so chuffed about at all. Mr. Perfect Sheffield was doing really well for me too, scoring a good amount of goals. However, Dad went on a run of not winning a league game in nearly 3 months, with only 2 draws too. And at the start of January, he was called into the office by the chairman due to the players' performances. The positive is that in January, Dad had £22 million to play with in the January transfer window. But even I was given £28 million too to spend. Dad also looked to change the shape of his Burnley side, although there was a big problem. Mr. Perfect Burnley missed the whole of January with a rather crucial injury. But with a new goalkeeper coming in at the end of the season and 3 players brought in to tighten up Dad's defence for the rest of the season, Dad's Burnley began to climb out of the relegation zone while I was sitting comfortably in mid-table, while also making a fantastic showing for ourselves in the FA Cup, giving the fans lots to be excited about. As we knock out Newcastle after extra time in the quarter-final to go on to face Crystal Palace in the semi. And to claim survival for Dad, it rested on the last 3 games, with 2 of them being played at Turf Moor. Well, Dad, you survived by the skin of your teeth.
Ooh, last game of the season, I had Crystal Palace. Needed a point to stay up, and I got the point, so yeah, skin of my teeth.
Yeah, you would have survived on goal difference.
Yeah.
Mine, because Nottingham Forest goal difference was even worse than yours somehow. You're minus 35. I had a great time, though.
Yeah, well done.
I was in 7th place, which is annoying because it's right outside of those European spots. However, I have a Europa League next to my name, which is amazing. We're on yours right now, Dad. You survived. You still got a job. I'm up in 7th place with 60 points, so double what points that you had.
I think I'm lucky with the board that I've got. They've just kept me on.
Yeah.
They're showing that loyalty to... is it Vincent Company at the moment?
Yeah,
in real life, so
absolutely.
I think they just showed the loyalty to me as well then, and kept me in the job.
Because you kept them in there. That's the main thing.
I think everybody around me was losing their managers.
I mean, if Everton didn't get their 10-point deduction, you'd be down.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
Cheers for Everton for that. So I get a point for finishing higher.
Yeah.
Now, the points, obviously, where we face each other in the league, you beat me once at home, 3-2. But
You remember at the beginning
I
of the season.
beat you at the start of the season, which we cannot see here, but we'll show you
it.
it.
5-0.
Yeah, so that was a big win. We'll have a look at that in a sec. Now, down to the other points that we have, of course. If a player manages to, one of our perfect players manages to get the top scorer of the season, they haven't, so there's no points in regards to that. It's down to how they actually did. But let's have a look at other competitions first. Competitions for Dad, knocked out by Sheffield United. We knew we played each other, of course, so we knew there'd be another point in there somehow. I beat you 3-2. Which was
the
point
game
for winning,
after the 5-0.
point for winning, and a point for knocking you out there. So that's 3 points I gained in the space of 2 games there in regards to that. So that's big. 4 points to your 1 at the minute. Third round by Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. Which, how did I get on in the FA Cup? Well, I went out and won it. I can't believe I won that. Because I was knocked out of the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, which did do very well, but I won and I beat Liverpool on penalties. Doesn't matter how you win it.
That's right, yeah.
But I did it. My third round, I knocked out Lincoln only 1-0, and I was thinking, oh dear, this isn't going to look good. 4-1 against Cardiff, into the 5th round, 3-0 against Blackburn. Quarter-final, knocking out Newcastle after extra time. I didn't have an easy run from there. Crystal Palace 2-1 into the final against Liverpool with a big penalty win, which is fantastic. So, got an extra 3 points in that, which really I never thought we'd get that. I thought I might be, maybe you had to put a bit of a gap in between, but there we go. That's huge already. But what about, you probably look at the league and think, yeah, Luke's probably got more goals and assists. My perfect Sheffield, 20 goals, 15 assists. Remember, we get an extra point if you finish higher goals and higher assists.
He's leading goal scorer as well, so
he was my leading goal scorer. I made the most out of him. Dad's, unfortunately, 13 and 5. So it's an extra 2 points straight off the bat just from that.
So really, he was my leading goal scorer because Weghorst wasn't my player.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Weghorst is out on loan at the minute, so maybe that's something that you need to look at across this summer.
Yeah.
To see what you can rectify and hopefully benefit from. Because you do have a bit of a budget.
Yeah.
Despite obviously being right down there, you've got £44 million. And as we've seen, we come in January, we bought a couple of players, so you have already spent about 20 million. And you've also secured Cohen Casteels for the next season, which is a very good goalkeeper to bring in.
I needed a new goalkeeper, and when he comes up for free, you've got to jump on the chance I got to get him in, didn't you?
Absolutely. You weren't the only one who looked at bringing in a goalkeeper. I did that during the January window. I had a little bit of money, so I've decided to bring in a goalkeeper too, and that is Luis Jr. for £9 million. So he was my starting goalkeeper when he came into the club. He still conceded 28 and 17, but he got 3 clean sheets after moving from £9 million, well, for £9 million from Famalicão. And I also brought in Valentin Rossier for 14 million, who played 15 games. So that was 2 good signings, I think, to bring in January and help me push over the line.
I think in January I brought in 3 players, was it?
Yeah. You brought in, as we can see here, Greg Taylor and a Kappa, so the 2 fullbacks, and Jordan Torrinariga, who is a German centre-back, left-footed, to go next to another German centre-back called Jordan, which I thought was quite funny. You got 2 Jordans, both from German, both of them play centre-back, so they're actually quite good now. So you got a good couple of centre-backs there. The change of formation definitely helped.
Yeah.
Helped keep your job.
I mean, that's not far off the formation I was going to do at the beginning of it, but when I had the wingers, I went for wingers, and I had better team, but it wasn't working, so I had to change it.
So there was the change. Yeah. You've got £44 million for next season. I got £73 million. So already I'll take a bit of an advantage in regards to money and point system. So let's have a look at the points and see what the damage is for Dan. Across the team points, head to head, I won points for finishing higher and winning matches against Dad. And of course, 3 magical points for that FA Cup win. Total into 9 points in total, with the extra 2 points for Mr. Perfect Sheffield having the most goals and assists. With Dad only winning 1 point after the 3-2 home win in the league. It's 9-1 going into season number 2.